How's it going, Toronto? So this is CITIUS Mag's first time up in Canada for a major race, and people here super friendly. It's been tons of fun so far. Karen and I both ran the 5K this morning. The vibes are high, the crews are out. Karen, what were your first impressions of Canada and Toronto?
Oh my God! I mean, I'm loving it here. I'm from the Midwest, so I think I'm getting some of the things here, but it's a little bit better than Chicago for me right now. I think and that's rare to say, but the weather's been great. The people are even friendlier. I don't know how that's possible. So I've been having a really great time. I want to know what your first impressions were.
No, it's perfect. The pace this morning on our 5K was a little spicy at the beginning.
Yes.
And it caught up to us at the very end.
It did.
But overall, great time. Many thanks to TCS for bringing us out here. The Canadian Running Series, As6. So we're super excited to be here with everyone. And I'm stoked for tomorrow. We will be doing an alternate broadcast of the race, which you can find within the TCS Toronto Waterfront Marathon app. It'll also be streamed on the CITIUS Mag YouTube channel, where we'll be plugging into the main feed, our first ever time having the rights to broadcast the race. So you'll see the elites, and then at the same time, we're going to be pulling in members of the Toronto running community as well. Like, we want to hear what the running culture here is like, and highlighting, a lot of the masses and the people who make this running community so strong. So
strong.
I'm excited, and we'll have close tabs on our special guest for this chat.
Yeah.
We are now pleased to be welcomed by two-time Olympian, Canadian marathon record holder, Natasha Wodak, everybody.
Welcome.
Hi. Hello. Okay.
Are we good?
Hello.
All right, Natasha, we're less than 24 hours away from the race. How are we feeling?
I'm excited. I mean, look at the weather.
Yeah.
This is perfect. So, really excited to be here. I'm healthy, which is awesome. That's very important to show up to the starting line of a marathon healthy. It's half the battle. So I'm ready to go.
Well, I would love to know, you talked about yesterday in the press conference, this was a little bit of a shorter build-up for you, I think 9.5 weeks. A lot of people love to, say, oh, you need a 12-week build-up, that's a staple. But for you, you said something, I don't think, yesterday, but you've talked about your coach saying microwaving some fitness.
He's here somewhere.
Yeah.
I love that terminology. I think I do that a little too much. I don't think it works for me the same way it works for you, but talk to me about that build and where you're coming at it from that angle with a little bit of a shorter time frame.
Yeah. I say we had a 9.5 week build. That just kind of means 9.5 weeks out, we decided we were going to do the marathon, and we started to really focus on the marathon training. But coming into that, I had a really good base. So I think a lot of people out there really get wrapped up in, at 12 weeks, we need to be absolutely starting the marathon stuff. But if you've been building a good base and you have good mileage, you don't necessarily need exactly 12 weeks if you've got some good long runs in already and you're starting with a good base. So, I say we had 9.5 weeks. I did come in with a good base, but it was kind of this dedicated marathon specific stuff. So yes, we didn't have as many specific marathon sessions as we would have liked. My coach and I were talking this morning. He's here somewhere. We said we probably could have used maybe one or two more specific marathon sessions. But with that being said, I still feel like I'm quite fit and I'm in a good place.
Love that. And so I think one of the things that also stood out to me from the press conference that we got to attend yesterday is just, you noted where we are just sort of in this calendar, where we're coming off of an Olympics, and now all the professional runners have to wait another 4 years until the next Olympics. But there's also World Championships next year, and there's always something on the horizon. But for the last 2 years, I would say, for a lot of professional athletes, there's a lot of pressure that goes into the training and then showing up on race day and having all the things line up so that those opportunities at the biggest stages come. How do you feel, I guess, now that we're at this point, unfortunately unable to compete in Paris, but there's less pressure going into a race like this?
Yeah, it's very nice to show up tomorrow and not, if I don't do well, it doesn't mean I don't go to the Olympics. Like it just means I didn't have a good day, and that's okay. Like I feel like a lot of us, for everyone that PBs tomorrow, there's going to be someone that doesn't, and so it's. I'm hoping that because I had a whole bunch of races that weren't PBs, that it's my turn to PB. I don't think I'm going to be PB tomorrow necessarily, but I feel like it's going to be a good race just because I'm in a better mental space, and I just feel like I can run a little more free and a little more relaxed and run with a little more joy. And I think when you're running with joy, you tend to run faster.
Yeah.
I love that. And chasing, those time standards, emotionally taxing, I'm sure, as you've mentioned. But talking about emotions here, I mean, your first marathon was here in 2013, 11 years ago. What's it like to be back, probably chasing some totally different goals?
Yeah, 11 years ago, debuted here. I was so scared. Honestly, one of the things I was really scared about was like having to use the washroom.
Very relatable.
I think everybody has a fear in a marathon. Like, what happens if I have to go to the bathroom? And I think the advice that was given to me, and for all of you out there, is if you really, really got to go, you wait until the last possible second. You find an outhouse, you run in there, you can do it in 20 seconds, back out you go. So it's not over. If you got to go, you got to go. So just take the time and get it done. Don't hold it in. But yeah. So now I know that like I'm all good, but I was also very, very scared of the marathon. I didn't know what to expect. I was just a very different athlete. And now being here, this is my 9th marathon. I know the good, the bad, the ugly, everything to expect out there. And I know a lot more of the run community, so it's going to be a great vibe out there. I think there's 35 cheer stations, so I'm hoping to just like enjoy it out there more and like high five. And there's a lot of places where we go back against the crowd, and so I'll get to see everybody else coming. And a lot of the times the women will be like, go First Lady, or they know my name, go Natasha, and it feels really good. And I'm going to take the time and wave at a lot of other runners that I pass by, and I think that helps just relax you and enjoy being out there. Like, we do this for a reason. We're trying to have fun. We're, right?
Yeah. My first marathon, also 2013, and when I look at like the photos of that, I'm like, I can't believe we were wearing those shoes for like 2+ hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and the sport has just come such a long way. Obviously in the with all of the advances in technology, and for you on the professional side, like, what has that been like to adjust to the times and bring in all these different scientific elements to your training, because you've been able to have this really long career, and I think like adaptability and that versatility is a key part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The shoe technology has made a big difference for me. I have arthritic joints in both my big toes. I actually had surgery on one of them in 2016. So when the super shoes came and they have that carbon plate and the stiffness, I almost have no pain when I run in the super shoes now, which has been an absolute game changer for me. And I know arthritis in the big toe joint is a very common injury in runners. And so I feel like a lot of people out there are like, getting to run longer and recovering better and run faster. And even if you don't have arthritic toe joints, everyone knows the super shoes have been an absolute game changer. I mean, just being able to recover faster after big sessions is huge. I'm going to be wearing the As6 Metaspeed Sky Paris tomorrow.
There you go.
Best shoe on the market, everybody.
I wore those in Paris, like for
I love it.
the Marathon for All, and
wow.
I was bouncing around, like it felt good. Yeah. And so, like after those long runs, those hard sessions, like that's what you want. You want to have that pop for the next one. Yeah. So yeah, it's come a long way. I cringe sometimes looking at it. Was like, oh, my knees hurt looking at those photos from like 2013.
Oh my gosh.
So how are you going about sort of assessing your goals for tomorrow? Like, do you have A, B, C goals for the day? Yeah, absolutely. The A goal is to win the national championship. I haven't won a national marathon championship. I've actually never competed in the national marathon championship. So that's the A goal. B goal is to run a good time, a time that I'm happy with.
those are the two goals,
Yeah.
really.
Love it.
I mean, I
Who
don't want to
needs
go to
C?
C. I don't want to go to C.
No.
Yeah.
No bathroom stops is Seagull.
No, I've never, knock on wood, I've never had to stop in a race, but if I have to go, I will stop for that 15 to 20 seconds. See
Yeah.
how fast
Yeah.
I can do it.
Yeah, well, and talking about all the support you're going to have out there, I love that you talked about running with joy. I would say, to me, just hearing you talk, you're one of the most relatable pros that is out there. You're very, I think, transparent, especially with social media. What has the social media component done for you, just giving you access to that community, and how has that been fostered for you?
Yeah, I think after I raced the Hamburg Marathon in April, and that was my last chance to make the Olympic team, and I did not. The messages I received on social media exceeded what I had received when I ran well. Like, it was
Wow.
unbelievable, the support random strangers were sending me. And I mean, if any of you are out here and you sent me a message, it meant so much. Like, to hear people saying, like, their little girls were watching me on TV and that I inspired them and things like that. Like, it was just so nice to hear. And I think a lot of people that have run marathons can relate to, whether you're an elite or a non-elite, everyone can relate to having a bad race. We all put in the same amount of work. We're all out there. And so people were like, I know what it's like to not, have this big goal and not meet it. And so, yeah, social media has allowed me to just meet people from all over. And, there's good things and bad things about it. But for the most part, I've really enjoyed social media and meeting people and connecting with people. And people are here today because of social media.
Yeah.
They're here watching us, and you guys are doing what you do because of social media.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like everyone talks about how just like popular and huge running is, and then at the same time you come to an event like this and you realize just how actually the running community is super small, and like people will have been listening to the show or watched you race before and who are not afraid to come up and say hello. And so I think that's like the beautiful part of it. And tomorrow, I guess we get to see that on display with all of the different cheer zones. Some fun questions that kind of came to mind just about like, that are a little bit more relatable also for people. It's a long time to be out there for a marathon, like 2 hours plus. What are you thinking about most of the time? Are you someone who's like focused on the splits, the people around you, like the kilometer markers? Where does your mind wander while you're racing?
Even just you talking about the race like that makes me feel a little nervous. I also coach a group of women, and it's marathon season, so a
Yeah.
lot of them ran Chicago a few weeks ago, and my advice is to shut your auto split off, especially because the GPS is whack out there, as you guys know.
Yes,
Yeah.
as we know.
And I usually take a split at every 5K and give yourself like, a good 15, 20, 30 seconds. So you're not like, oh, I'm 2 seconds off or whatever, because every K you could, freak out. So, and then, you're not thinking about every kilometer, where am I at? So you're like, oh, every 5K, where am I at? So that's kind of what I do. Also, every 5K is where I get gels. And so you're thinking, okay, my next station's coming up. Make sure to get that down. Oh, there's a cheer station. Hey,
Yeah.
wave. Oh, there's my hi, parents. Like, I like to just try and relax and enjoy the people out there, and really concentrate on thinking, does this feel hard? If it feels too spicy in the first 5-10K, you need to back it off, because and it should feel somewhat easy in the first 15K especially. Yeah.
Right.
You mentioned coaching. Like, what brings you the most satisfaction as a coach? Is it, hearing from the athlete that they got their PR that they've been after? Is it just the satisfaction after crushing a hard workout? Like, for you, what are the highlights as a coach?
That's a great question. I mean, I had 2 girls run Berlin recently, and I had 3 actually. All 3 ran personal bests, and I did cry when I saw the results. I know, like, a lot of my athletes are moms, and they work full-time jobs, and they're getting up at the crack of dawn to put in the work, and just see them go out there and travel across the world to run, and to see them succeed, and just to be happy and to feel joy through the summer of training and be successful brings me a lot of joy. And so, not necessarily running PBs, but that's kind of like the cherry on the top. But when they were in Berlin and it was the night before the race, all three of them said, like, we've had the best summer of training. We're so grateful to be here. This is a privilege. And that's kind of what you want to hear from your athletes. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, I think that's incredible that they're able to be coached by someone who, is at this level and being coached too. I'm curious to know just your philosophy almost on coaching, and what would you tell your athletes or yourself, when they're struggling through something, whether it's in a race or it's a tough time in their life?
The coaching hat.
We're getting into it.
Can I ask my coach? He's right there. Trent, can you come up here? Trent had to spend a lot of time with me in the last 18 months, really helping me out after bad races. But I think, is bad races happen. They're a part of what we do. And if we didn't have them, we wouldn't appreciate the good ones as much. So it's that much sweeter when we have a good race. The struggle is a part of it. It happens to us all, whether we like it or not. Be sad for 24 hours after a bad race, then pull up your big girl panties and onwards we go. And a new goal. The sun comes up the next day. Nothing changes. I mean, I thought I was so sad after I didn't make the Olympic team, and I realized like a month ago, I'm super happy. Like it didn't ultimately matter at all, and so yeah. I think the same goes for people that may not run a really good race tomorrow. There's always another race, and you can get back on the horse, and it'll be all fine.
What's the race in your career that you felt like you ran with the most joy? Is it, because I feel like I would presume, right, like the national record, but that can also be like when you were most business mindset, like locked in, that it's hard to soak in the fun. Which one is it in your career?
What's this hard questions?
We're getting into it.
Prepared.
I just have to pick the best.
Natasha, these are the easy ones. It gets so much worse. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, that's really tough. Obviously, Berlin was where I set the Canadian record, and my parents were there, and my partner was there, and my brother and my nephew, and so that was really, really special. And I just felt so good. And I had a pacer run the entire race with me, and I just remember the last 10K feeling like we were just like flying through the streets. And I can't explain it because I haven't felt like that ever again, but like I hope that happens tomorrow. But it was a truly special feeling to just be, and I looked at my splits like after, and I was hitting some 3:13s in there, which is like my 10K pace. I was like, I live for those moments, and we train for those moments. And so I would say probably Berlin, because I just remember feeling happy and being out there and really enjoying it, and seeing my parents at 38K and smiling and like just thriving, I guess, out there. So, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, you may not know this, Natasha, but I can attest to that beautiful day because I also was at the Berlin 2022 marathon, just maybe a little over an hour behind you, but I was there. We were out there in solidarity. But I'm curious to know, as someone who has held titles from the 5K, national Canadian, meets, and you said, 10K, you've got the half marathon. But the marathon here, this is a big one for you because I think that's still on the table. Getting a little bit more technical here, how has training evolved over the years from the shorter races now into the longer beast of the marathon?
Obviously, the long runs have definitely become longer. And before I did the marathon, I was being coached by Lynn Kanuka, and I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with her, bronze medalist in the 1500. The 3,000 at the LA Olympics. The one where Mary Slaney fell?
Yeah.
Was it Mary Decker?
Yeah, Mary Decker.
Yeah, she was bronze in that. It's often overlooked. Anyways, when I was training with her for the 10K, I was even low mileage for that. We did a ton of cross training, a ton of low mileage. And when I ran my first marathon in Arizona, or my second marathon in 2020 with Lynn, I did the elliptical 3 to 4 days a week as to supplement my mileage, and I think I maxed out at like 140 kilometers.
Wow.
Which is like 90 miles, maybe?
Yeah.
Which is quite low. So I always like to say, like, yes, you need the long runs in for the marathon, but there are other ways to do it. And you can get in that mileage by supplementing and cross training. So for us, for people that are getting older and their bodies aren't recovering as well, get on the bike for those secondary runs. Get on the elliptical. Get in the pool. Like, you can get the aerobic engine working with cross training. So, I would say. Then I switched over to Trent, who's here. We still do a lot of cross training, but definitely I have done a lot more double thresholds.
It's a popular thing right now.
Yeah, we've been doing the double thresholds, and when I first started them, they were so hard. And I think now I do them, and I quite enjoy them, and I like them. So, yeah.
So as we look at just like the Canadian National Championships taking place here, there's also, I guess, like the important part, which to many mass runners may not be aware, world rankings points are on the line here too. Is that just sort of like the subplot extra cherry on top with coming to a race like this and thinking it'll help boost your ranking looking ahead to 2025?
It's absolutely a part of what I was thinking when I did choose this race. It was, I want to run a national championship. I want to run close to home. I'll be honest, I want to win a bit of prize money. Let's keep it real. And there's 45 bonus points for the win, which is huge. So basically, let's say I run 2:27:30 and I win. That would be the equivalent of me running about 2:23:30.
Oh, there
I'm
we
looking
go.
at my coach. He knows all
Trent's
this.
got the calculator out in the stands right now. Yeah.
So, it'd be like me having gone to Valencia and running 2:23, 2:24 to get the same amount of points as running about 4 minutes slower here and winning. So it's strategically a good way to put myself in a good position to get selected for the World Championships are next September in Tokyo.
There
So
we
I'd
go.
really like to go and do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sport wasn't this hard to calculate and follow back in 2013.
Right, you gotta have a PhD now in mathematics.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, or a coach that knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He has a PhD.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, there we go. You picked well.
Yeah.
I would love to know, just I guess with all these things, all the support that over the years, I think you've said that you've attested to helping you get to where you are in your career. What's it mean to be here, part of the As6 family? This is an As6 event. This is your national championship. What's the emotions like that for you?
It's so special. I mean, I felt like my last couple of races, I was in Hamburg, there was basically I knew almost nobody there. And in Houston, it was just deserted. And, when it's getting tough, no one's cheering for you. And so I'm out here, and my parents are here, and my coach is here, and I have lots of friends. And my As6 crew is here, and I know that they're all going to be out cheering. And when you're having a tough day and someone yells your name, you're just oh, okay. And also I know that my coach will be biking all around, and I actually respond quite well to him. So if he runs by and he's like, let's go, pick it up, squeeze it down. I hope that I'm able to okay, to do that. But it is. Toronto's a special city. The run community here is incredible. And every time I come here, I feel that. And I wonder if you guys noticed that this morning, being out there for the 5K.
Oh, I already said I'm moving here, so I committed to something I didn't know I did, but it's beautiful. It's the weather. Yeah. I'm curious, conditions tomorrow are looking pretty good, pretty, fair and mild. What are your ideal conditions? Is it tomorrow? Are you know what I'm saying? Are you ready for anything? All
right, so I have analyzed the weather a lot. Now,
for the last 2 weeks, that's just how runners are.
Yes, but more in the last 2 days, and every hour I've opened up every hour to see what it'll be like for exact moments. So there are going to be some wind gusts of 25 kilometers an hour. So those are going to be in the last 7K, just so you guys know to be prepared.
Yeah.
That it will be slightly windy coming back on that 7K. So be prepared. Leave something in your legs for that. Otherwise, it's not super windy, but that will be there. Uh-huh. The temperature is perfect. I think they say the ideal temperature for a marathon is 7 degrees, which I think is a little cold.
Yeah.
I think
Celsius,
12.
Karen.
Sorry,
I was like, oh my god.
Celsius, Karen.
Celsius. Sorry.
Even the kilometers got me with the weekly mileage. I was like 149.
I was like, kilometers, Karen. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm learning.
Just the expression in your face. I was like, she thinks it's Fahrenheit. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Americans. Yeah.
What can I say?
All right, so 7 is ideal.
They say 7. Trent, is that a little cold? Do you think?
10 to 15.
10 to 15.
Okay.
Yeah. He knows the stuff. So it's going to start around 8 degrees tomorrow, and by I think 11 it's supposed to be about the Celsius. I think about 16. So
Okay.
it's looking pretty good. It warms up pretty quickly. So yeah.
You mentioned how you respond to Trent yelling from the bike. For these spectators who are here, what is it that they could yell at you during the race that you would be receptive to? Because when the going gets tough, anything from the crowd helps.
Oh yeah, just be loud, be aggressive with the cheering. You could say do it for Oliver and Elliot. Those are my cats.
Oh, okay. For
Oliver
Oliver and Elliot.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll do it for Oliver and Elliot. In the latter stages, a swear word or two might help me.
Okay.
Don't be shy. Let us know which ones.
No swearing for you, but everyone else, go ahead. Just really, I know when I cheer, I'm aggressive, and I'm basically like hanging over the side screaming at people. And so, just do that for your loved ones. Get out there. Be loud. Be proud, and have fun with it.
What is, when in these practices, in these double threshold sessions, the long runs, you have visualization's important, and how you picture yourself crossing the finish line. So for this one, I guess when you have that image in your head, what does that look like? And what are the feelings you are hoping to conjure when you cross that finish line?
Yeah, absolutely. You always visualize finishing feeling strong and feeling happy, and not feeling like you're going to collapse or throw up. But generally when I finish, I feel pretty exhausted. I hope that I finish, and I know that my parents are going to be right at the finish line, so I'm probably going to cry. Whether it goes well or not well or medium, there's always this feeling when you cross the finish line at a marathon. It's hard to explain unless you've done it, and it's just this release of emotions. I did it!
Yeah.
And so I almost cry every single time that I finish, and so I know that there'll be tears and just relief that it's done, and happiness, and yay, it's time to go and have a glass of wine.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's that emotional reset just pent up from those months of training, and there's just something about the marathon finish line that just always tips you over the top, no matter how the race pans out. I guess if you have a bad race, it is tears of sadness, but
right. But it feels almost like chapters. I almost think of a book where you've completed that cycle of the marathon that you had that build for. You've completed a chapter in this big story. Looking back a little bit more now retroactively to your career, walk me through just the chapters that you would divide up your career into. And you know what? Give us the title of this chapter.
What
it's an extensive
tough question. I don't know how I would have answered that one.
Clearly she's from the U.S. and does not follow that I've been running since I was 7 years old, and I'm 42. So
it's a long book.
It's a huge book. There's many chapters.
It's a Harry Potter book. Yeah.
Volumes.
I guess when I was younger, I always ran, and I was pretty good. I was the fast girl, but I also played soccer, metro soccer until grade 12. I played basketball until grade 12. I was very active, just loved to be active. I went to school at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, fun fact. Bet you didn't know that. Back in 2000.
Wow.
In 2000, yes.
Yeah.
And then I was very homesick, so I lasted all of 1 year before I came home and finished my degree at Simon Fraser University, which is at that time was in the NAIA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I quit running after. I quit for 3 years.
Wow.
And I was I have unfinished business. And I started training back with SFU again. And I made my first national team when I was 28. So I guess chapter 1 would maybe be, I don't know, that when it began. And I've been on 20 national teams since then.
It's 20 chapters.
There's a lot. I've switched coaches 3 times. I've had 3 great coaches. And I was really into the 10,000 for quite a long time, made a lot of teams, and transitioned into the marathon when COVID hit, actually. And we had no races here in 2020, none. And if we left the country, we had a 2-week quarantine when we came back. So it wasn't really worthwhile to go. But there was a race in Arizona. You guys remember?
Project.
A marathon project.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I thought it's now or never. So I went and ran the marathon there and ran the Olympic standard, which was really amazing, exciting. I had to come home and quarantine for 2 weeks through Christmas and New Year's. But
Oh man.
I know. Did anyone else here have to do the 2-week quarantine?
Yeah, I
and
see
like
some people
we
nodding.
weren't even supposed to like go for a walk.
Right.
Like, I mean, we did.
Yeah, I had to do the quarantine around that time, but it wasn't because I ran an incredible marathon at Arizona. It's because I had COVID. So under different, I get it, but I don't.
So yeah, there's just been many injuries, stress fractures, tendonitis, surgery. It's, I've sort of been through it all, and I think what's kept me going in the longevity of my career I always come back to this, the people in my corner, the people that have supported me, my parents, my partner, my coaches, my friends that like believe in you and know when to push you, and I think the most important thing is when to pull you back, when to say like, stop running, take a break, or you're not eating enough, eat fuel better, like especially for us women, that's, a slippery slope. And I have had amazing people that are always encouraging me to like fuel well. And I have, an amazing coach now that it's always like, fuel, fuel, fuel. Like after a long run, he'll like text me, make sure you eat really well today. So like stuff like that is like, it's important, guys.
Yeah.
Very important.
So is it, where we are now, like in the chapters, LA is 4 years away. Like, and I know that there's always like the allure of the Olympics. That's just how our sport is structured. Is it sitting like at the forefront of your mind, like the back of your mind? Where's that at?
It's definitely on my mind. It's hard after just coming off of an Olympic cycle to think about the Olympics again.
Yeah.
So I think, I talked with Melindy Elmore as well, and she's a year older than me, but I think we both said sort of thing, like take it year by year. And if we find ourselves, in 2 years still running really well and running really fast, and heck yeah, well, of course we're going to go. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know how my body is going to behave, but I'm absolutely going to keep running, keep doing it. I have an amazing company, As6, who supports me, and we're going to continue on to LA 2028. And so, I'm going to do my very best to be there, hopefully. Yeah.
It's so cool to hear about the bond that you and Melindy have, because it's drawn so much inspiration for people to see what people can be capable of into their 40s. And I even remember, I think, what was it, after the two of you crossed the finish line in Tokyo, in Sapporo, where it was like, all right, we got Paris like coming up, and it's like you guys are just so quick to set those goals, but now it's like definitely a time to like slow down and assess year by year. What has that been like to also just see the reception from, the crowd of women who are into their late 30s, early 40s, who you guys have shown like it's possible, like to keep running your fastest?
It's really cool when like the younger generation of women that are on national teams with me, they're like, oh yeah, we look up to you and Melindy, we want to run the marathon. Like, when we're like in our 30s and 40s, and they're 1,500 girls. Yeah. They're like, and so that's really cool for them. They're like, oh yeah, we can like take a break and come back. And, in Budapest, some of the girls were calling like Mama Tash, because all this one, I loved it. It was very near and dear, but I think it's really cool to be able to like inspire this younger generation and know that they don't need to rush into the marathon. Take your time, do the shorter stuff. The marathon will be there for you like later on. Like Melindy was a 1,500 specialist. She went to the Olympics in the 1,500 and came back. So no rush, and just take care of your body, and you should be running marathons well into your, and like Sinead Diver was 47?
Yeah.
At the last Olympics. So I'm like, in LA, I'll be 46. So,
I'm curious to know, just because, you did start with the lower distances, and obviously not looking back, you can't live with any regrets, meaning, do you think you would have benefited or not from starting doing marathon sooner? Do you think your trajectory was the perfect one for you and you entered it right when you needed to?
Yeah, because everyone's so different.
Yeah.
I tried the marathon in 2013, right? Here.
Yeah.
I was here. And I was just a completely different athlete, and I did not enjoy the training. I felt so beat up after. It just wasn't the right time for me. So I know this all was the plan, and then I went into the 10,000 and I was like, okay, this is, I want to be on the track. This is fun. And then when I was sort of getting sick of that, I was like, oh, the marathon is, you need more patience, I think, for the marathon. And patience is something as an athlete you just need to learn and gain. You need to gain your confidence, and that only happens with time. And practice and such.
Yep.
So I do want to open up the floor to some questions from the audience that we have here. But so I'll give you guys a minute to think of anything, and I think we might have like a mic that might float around. And so your favorite part of marathon training and least favorite part of marathon training?
My least favorite part of marathon training is the long progression runs. I'm not really a fan of those. I've gotten better at them over the years, but I feel like in every build I have one that I don't quite hit, and it's usually the only workout I find that I struggle with the most. What I love about marathon training is when you're at the very end and you have that one last workout and you hit it, and you hit it well, and you're like, oh, I am going to crush this marathon. It's almost as good of a feeling as crushing the marathon itself as that last big session. And I think this last time it wasn't like my biggest session, but I had 3x6K and my coach was out with me, and it was really nice to have him there because he doesn't live in the same city. And it went really well. And I just remember thinking after, like, okay, it was a short build, but like, I'm ready. And I think we can all relate to like crushing that one workout where you're like, yes, I'm ready. You know, it feels good.
Yeah. I know we're opening it up to the crowd. Can I ask a personal question? As I'm in my marathon build to New York, do you taper, and what does that look like?
Oh yeah, I taper hard.
I'm taking notes here.
I'm a big fan of the taper myself. Some people struggle with it. I have eat more food and run less. It's really nice in the last week. So, I would say like today I ran 20 minutes or 25. Yesterday was 40. Day off the day before that, 50 with just a little like we actually start our taper about 2.5 weeks out, almost. 2.5 weeks out, I would say.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. We got any questions? Steve, one in the back. Microphone will come to you.
You never know what you're going to get.
Let's see what we got.
Is it you? You mentioned eating food. You mentioned that you during your taper sessions you get to eat more food and you work out less or exercise less. Now, my question to you regarding the food eating is, do you base it on your training style? Like, for example, if you're doing an endurance run, do you eat more starches or more starchy foods? Whereas if you're doing for power or strength, you eat more high-protein diets.
Okay.
Yeah, take us through, I guess, like your diet during the taper, and then I guess like how it compares to the training.
Yeah, I would say I'm only really increasing like my carbs like dramatically, 72 hours out before. But if you're talking more about like everyday workouts, like for long runs and stuff, So if I have like a big workout the next day, I will definitely eat the night before like carb heavy. Not like, probably won't eat a giant steak or anything heavy in like creamy sauces or anything. You want something that you know is going to work on your stomach. So I would go with like plain salmon or chicken, rice, potatoes, salad. Like, don't switch it up. Like, you need to practice. So I generally eat this similar style meal I would have before a big workout that I would have before a race. If it's like a shorter workout, I'm not as concerned. But and in the morning, I practice as well, waking up 2 hours before your workout, getting in what you would have on race day. Like, for me, that's oatmeal, banana, coffee. Like, you do the same thing, you don't switch it up. So, some of it's trial and error. So you got to see like what works for you and what doesn't, and definitely practice that well in advance, and I forever was having peanut butter and toast and banana. And I started to feel every once in a while I was getting some nausea. And so I was like, I think it's something in that combination. So I cut it out and switched to oatmeal. Perfect. So somewhere along the line, I built up some weird intolerance. So definitely practice. If you're noticing indigestion or something, switch it up. I guess, so that's my advice. Good question.
Good question. Right. We got another one from the crowd. Up over here in the blue. Microphone's on the way.
Here we go.
I got a question. So, in sometimes maritime blocks, there's a point where you're like, this is not fun anymore. I got to get this run done, but you're kind of battling like at the end of a marathon, or I guess a block of marathon training. And then sometimes you're in a marathon, you get to a certain point, like 37, 38, where you're like, how am I going to get through this? So, in your experience, when you know you're not having your best race, but battling to get to the finish, what are some tips to get to the finish line when you know you're not having your best day?
That's a great question, and I think that's relatable for every single person here who's been in a race. Doesn't necessarily even need to be a marathon. I have what I call like my checklist that I have been given from my coach, Lynn, and everyone should have one, and you should practice it in training. So on your checklist, you have words that you say to yourself. Okay, I'm hurting, this sucks. Now I need to transition from these negative thoughts to my positive thoughts. So for me, I have phrases that are, yes, I can. This is my race. Yes, I can. This is my race. And it kind of rolls in my head like a choo-choo train. Like, that's what I say. And then I go through the checklist. What are you doing with your arms? Drop your shoulders, Natasha. Bring your shoulders down. Bring your arms in. Shake your arms out. Okay, what are you doing with your core? Like, are you leaning over? Are you leaning? Like, you go through the things that you can control. And it's surprising if you go through those things. Sometimes it can take like a couple of minutes. And then you're like, okay, I've relaxed myself a little bit, right? I've brought myself down. Like, I'm doing what I can. Because when you start to get tired and you start to sort of freak out, your body starts to run funny. And so try to do the things you can. If you've ever watched me run, you've probably seen me shake my arms out a lot. That's me trying to just relax myself and just drop my shoulders away. But everybody here the night before the marathon should write down a positive phrase, whatever that is for you. Write it on your hand and know that when it gets tough, just repeat that over and over again. Even say it out loud. I've said it out loud before in a race when it gets tough. Like, I got this! Like a crazy person. In Budapest, there was a tunnel with about 4K to go. Do you guys remember this?
Yeah.
And it was the only place in the entire course where there was nobody, and I was alone in there, and I yelled, like, I don't even remember, but I yelled at myself. I was like, you gotta go!
Did it echo too?
Yeah, then
It
echo.
definitely
back
echoed,
at you.
yeah. But yeah, so don't be afraid, and I think there'll be other people out there, so if you see someone struggling, you go by them, say something nice. Keep it up. Good job. You got this. Let's go. Like, help each other out. Yeah, be kind.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's great. Anyone else?
Any other questions?
Your chance to ask a question. There we
We've
go.
got one here.
So the Canadian
No ladies?
national
No
record
ladies
holder.
want to ask any questions?
Come on, ladies.
Don't give it to Trent. He'll ask me something hard.
Okay, so do you have like a key workout like leading up to your marathon? Like what's your biggest workout kind of leading up that kind of tells you that you're ready for the race?
We never seem to do the exact same. I'm looking, you're literally sitting next to my coach. I never really seem to do the exact same thing. As much as I kind of am like, can I just do like 3x8K? But Trent likes to throw in like some random things, some pace surges and stuff. But I think, generally if I can nail the last big workout, which will be like 3 weeks out, and I know it'll be something like, I don't know, 10K, 8K, 6K, 4K, or like, I don't know. I think we've done 3x8K. It's basically big chunks of marathon pace with short rests, like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. And so whatever I can run for those segments is kind of where I feel like I'm at. But yeah, the last session we usually do, I don't think in the last 5 marathons I've ever done the exact same workout 3 weeks out. I don't know, you'd have to ask the master over here, so.
Yeah. Well, we've had some technical questions. I do have a question I want to ask. Pre-race rituals. I mean, I'm noticing the race day nails. I'm loving it. I mean, if I show up tomorrow with them copied, no, I didn't. I want to go find how to get those. Even just, I think on the podcast you were talking about, just even in the weeks leading up, you're like, oh, I got to get my hair done. I got to do things. What are some pre-race rituals that just get you in the zone, make you feel pampered, make you feel ready to go?
Look good, feel good, run fast.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's my motto. Everyone's different, and you can, I think the most important thing is to look and feel what makes you feel most comfortable. And so number one, that's having a race kit that fits you well and is comfortable. So always, whatever you're going to race in, try it out beforehand. A6 makes probably the best bun huggers in the game. They do not move. Thank you, A6. That's a shout out. So I have very comfortable shorts. That's usually one that people have an issue with the chafing and where do they sit and like
Can I ask,
all that stuff.
Where do you keep your gels with the buns?
So I actually have a very good friend that sewed in a patch on the back of my bum shorts for my emergency gel. Yeah.
Genius. A6.
Yeah.
We could get this product made.
Yeah, we're
Working on it.
yeah.
The biggest question of the
So-
game is with those, yeah.
Yeah, I like to get my nails done so they match my kit, which is neon yellow and black, so it's kind of fun. I also got my hair cut right before I came out, but like at the end of the day, in the morning, I'm not going to sit there and analyze like, oh, my makeup and this and that. I put my hair in a bun that I know is going to like stay and stick. If it's hot, you're not going to see me wearing makeup. I don't care. I care more about making sure that if I'm sweating and I'm throwing water over my face, that I don't want mascara on my face. Like, I don't care about that. I'd rather like just feel good, feel clean, have my hair out of the way, like don't have clothing that's like flying everywhere. So making sure you're feeling comfortable. So I always say, wear definitely what you're comfortable in, whether people like it or not. Wear what you like and you feel good in. Yeah.
Love it.
All right, any final questions from the audience?
Sawyer.
Go.
Right here.
All the way in the front.
Sawyer holds the national championship record, right, for that age group.
World record, right?
Is
I
it
think
the world
it is. Age
record?
group world record
It's
for
world-
12-year-old 5K?
Holy cow.
Can we have a round of applause for this young lady in the blue? She ran 17:20 this morning in the 5K. Are you 13 now?
I'm turning 13 in November.
She's 12. She's 12. Yeah, that's
The future's here.
Yeah. Should we bring her up? Okay, no. What is your question?
You mentioned A6 a lot, and you seem to have a good relationship with them. So, what have they done to support you, and what do you really like about them?
Look at this
Look
girl.
at that.
What a question.
A6 got her a contract.
Yeah, what do they call it? An NIL deal?
yeah.
The first one in Canada. A6 came in just after COVID hit, I believe, and they have been unreal, supported me in every which way, shape, or form, whatever I need. I mean, literally, I texted Sharon, who's one of my reps, on my flight here. Do you have the Metaspeed Sky Paris in the yellow color because it'll match my nails and my race top better? She's like, yep, I'll have it at the expo for you. No worries. Like, just the little things that go above and beyond and make me feel just like a part of the family. And when I've had bad races, they have messaged me like, we love you all the same. We support you. Is there anything you need from us? Like, that's unreal. And looking forward to another 4 years with them going forward. So thanks for that question. It's important to have a company that believes in you as a human being as well and is there for the emotional part, not just like, you need to run this time and that's all that we care about, and that's not what they're about. They're about so much more than that. Yeah.
All right, Natasha, well, you've been so generous with your time, especially because we're less than 24 hours away from the race. What does tonight look like in terms of just like, how do you get yourself to fall asleep? Like,
I was going to go and probably have like a bottle of wine. Just kidding. Yeah, just kidding.
Go bowling again.
Oh, man.
Last night.
They had the VIP reception last night at a bowling alley, but it was like a club.
Yeah.
They were having fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I went in, I said hello, and I left, and coach said no bowling for me because he didn't want me to like pull a muscle. But anyways, I think like everybody else, I'm going to have like a carb-heavy dinner. And my parents are here. They flew in from Vancouver. So I'm going to hang out with them and just chat, go over the game plan again with my coach, and just get my bottles ready and get to bed hopefully by 10. So I have another piece of advice about sleep. Now, a lot of people worry about sleeping the night before a race. Don't panic if you can't sleep well. A lot of my best races, I've had like 4 hours of sleep. So as long as this week you've been resting pretty well, you'll be okay. So don't be like, I must fall asleep right now, because I know a lot of people have anxiety about sleeping the night before a race. So don't panic if you don't get a good sleep. You will run well, I promise. Just don't think about it.
All right, Natasha. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks to TCS for hosting this. Thanks to A6, Canadian Running Series. Let's give it up one more time for Natasha Wodak, everybody.
Thank you.
And to all the runners out there tomorrow, whether it's in the half or the full, best of luck. We'll be out there rooting for you. And yeah, it's an exciting time. So have the best race of that you can. So good luck, everybody.
And can I give a shout out to CITIUS Mag? You guys are amazing. If you don't follow them on social media, they are the best news outlet for all things running. You guys are amazing. Thanks for being here. We're lucky to have you. Thanks for the interview.
Thanks
so
Natasha.
much.
All right, everyone. Rest up and race well tomorrow.
Eat them carbs.
Run with joy. I love that. I love